Hello, everybody, and welcome to Race 9 of the OSCA Truck Series. Tonight, we're here at Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee, at the last great Coliseum for the Just Keep Your Head 100. And tonight, we do have two heats, and it's going to be 50 laps each. Start time for the first one's going to be a 4 p.m. start time. The second one will be at night at 7:15 with the top 11 inverted. Again, welcome to the KBRN Network. I'm your host, Michael Goodman, and along with me is Kenneth Bueno. And as we're qualifying here, Kenneth, I believe Larry Mack always had this saying, what he told his drivers, is when you come here at Bristol, you always got to check your feelings at the gate, because things might get a little hairy here tonight.
They certainly do, Mike. And again, back to the short tracks. We had our good amount of stint there. We went to Dover, went to Martinsville to play with the tensions a little bit. I think you say it right there, as Larry says it. Keep your feelings in check, because you kind of can't take things personal at a track like this where things get so close. But Bristol becomes another challenge. I mean, one of the most iconic short tracks in stock car racing, and for these trucks, it is a different challenge comparative to, let's say, the NASCAR Cup Series cars. So I'm expecting a lot of fun. We've got two different heats, two different dynamics, and I think we're going to be set up for two wildly different races going into this event.
Yeah, and before we get going here, we can take a closer look here at Bristol Motor Speedway in the hills of Bristol, Tennessee. We take a closer look here. And again, Bristol Motor Speedway is a half-mile racetrack with the progressive banking 26 to 30 degrees in the turns, 6 to 10 degrees on the front straightaways. This track opened back in 1960. And Kenneth, with that progressive banking, I'm expecting to see a lot of guys roll that topside.
It definitely will be, and I think the way iRacing has set up this Bristol Motor Speedway is that you can really maneuver runs from the top. The bottom doesn't seem to be as proficient. You can really make it work on fresh tires, maybe early in a run, but you really want to be up near the wall. That's where the momentum is carried. That's where you can carry it in the corner, in the middle, and also at the exit in order to really defend for position. I think we'll see a lot of drivers do that, especially when they're side by side. The driver on the high side will definitely get the better momentum. But I mean, again, just like I said, Bristol, one of the more iconic short tracks in stock car racing. Been here for a long time, been here in the sim for a while, and I think nonetheless, whenever you go to Bristol, it's always a wild race, always something different happening, whether it could be a green flag runs or it could be a caution-filled event. I think that we're probably going to see all types of factors going into this race, especially as the season continues to unfold.
Yes, and as the season unfolds, after tonight, we only have one race left before we get into the playoffs. As again, tonight we're at Bristol. Next week we're at race number 10 at Las Vegas. Then we get into the playoffs at Phoenix and Texas, with the season finale coming down to Kentucky. And with that, we'll check who's in line for the points here. And Gerald Campbell, after missing last week, his lead gets kind of chopped away there a little bit, Kenneth. But Vincent Isabella closed within 10 points. But behind them, they're kind of all battling for those final chase spots.
They definitely are. And when we were locking points, I think right before the broadcast, you saw how big of a difference it was between Campbell, Isabella, and then Adam Tepe in third, who's 55 points behind your current points leader. That doesn't have to say that he's not without a battle in itself, though. I mean, 2 points behind him is Harrison Tylon in the number of 4th position there in the number 23 truck. And then you find a couple points back there, about 5 points there, Johnny Eckert. Then you have a really nice battle between 6th through 9th, Blake Barney, Matt Arcara, Austin Beers, and Shane DiMantova. Also fling in David Carpenter a little bit behind as well. But all of these guys, I mean, 2 different races, we've spread points throughout, especially bonus points as well. So, Mike, I mean, things are far from over when it comes down to fighting for those chase spots. In the top 10, you see how close things are, and especially through this race, it could even tighten further.
Yeah, and even some of the guys outside of the top 10, I believe Stephen Schumann and David Westergreen right on the outside, about 3 points back. And here at Bristol, things could get pretty crazy, and the point standings could get jumbled up here tonight. And we'll find out as we are just rounding down qualifying. But before we get to the starting grid, just to let you know, if you have any questions, if you want to join the conversation with us up in the booth, you can do so by using the hashtag AskKBRN. You can put any question you like, followed by the hashtag, and we will answer it to the best of our ability. That's hashtag AskKBRN for anything you want to ask us. But looks like now they're getting ready to grid up here for heat number 1. Again, we have 2 halves, 50 laps apiece, 4 p.m. start time for this first one. And it looks like they're getting gridded up, getting ready to go here, Kenneth. It should be an exciting one. And here is your starting lineup for heat number 1 of the Just Keep Your Head 100. On the pole is going to be the 42 truck. Second in points, Vincent Isabella. And alongside of him, always fast, Johnny Eckert in the 90 truck.
Behind them in row number 2, there's points leader Gerald Campbell starting from third, fairly fast in practice, so he'll roll off in the first 2 rows, alongside a driver returning to the series after making his first start a while back. Mason Thompson will roll off from the 4th position.
In the starting in the row number 3 in the 5th spot, the 39 truck of Aiden Kirker, and alongside him, 10th in the points in that 71 truck is David, If I Were a Carpenter.
Finding row number 4, you'll end up with the 52 of Gabriel Edwards rolling off from 7th, and David Westergreen in the 2 machine looking for some better luck. He will start from 8th tonight in row number 4.
And starting in row number 5, the 19 truck of JJ Hill will be starting 9th, and a guy who really hopes to turn his luck around is that 97 truck of Levi Zielinski. He'll be rolling off 10th.
Austin Beers in the 3 machine will find himself 11th, one of the drivers who won the first race at Michigan last week. Will be rolling just outside of the top 10, and alongside him will be the 03 of Charlie Kuzma.
And starting in row number 7, last week's heat number 2 winner at Michigan, it's the 91 truck of Dennis Weeks, and alongside of him will be Nicholas Monticelli. We seen him last time we were at a short track take a crazy skyrocket moonshot through the air.
Shane Mantova will roll off at the edge of the top 15 inside row number 8. And Thomas KBueno making his first start in the OSCA Truck Series. He will start his first debut race from the 16th position.
Starting in row number 9 in the 17th spot is the 32 truck of Josh Duke. And alongside of him, the guy who's right outside the top 10 in points, he's looking for a good run here tonight. It's going to be Steven Schumann.
Then Adam Tepe in the 96 will be from 19th. Chris Jordan in the number 4 will round out your top 20.
As we, some of the rest of the guys in the grid, it looks like Blake Barney starting 21st, Riley Marbello in 22nd, and I think some guys might even miss the grid. We'll get that sorted out later. You can see the rest of the starting grid roll up on top of your screen here, but right now, you see on the inside road there, Kenneth, you have second in points, Vincent Isabella on the pole, but again, right behind him is our points leader, Gerald Campbell. Things could get interesting early here in tonight's event.
They definitely could. I mean, these 2 guys going pretty much toe-to-toe for that points lead, and Vincent Isabella, all he needs is just to muster 2 good races, or maybe if he can win both, do so and be able to leapfrog that 6 in the points position. I think that'll be very key for the driver of that number 42, but he's got the driver of the 14 right alongside him. Johnny Eckert missed the start. We're ready to go green here from Bristol.
Yeah, we'll get ready to go green. I think we might have one more lap. I think the pace truck lights are out. Here's their head down the back stretch. It'll be on the front row once again, Vincent Isabella, and looks like Johnny Eckert might have missed the start, so move up Mason Thompson up to the front row, and they'll also move up Carpenter up into 4th. The pace truck dies off, and we're going to get ready to go green in the Just Keep Your Head 100 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And ooh, looks like Gerald Campbell's giving a shove to Vincent Isabella as they go down into turn number 1. Isabella's going to get a good jump, and he's going to take the lead early on, but right behind him in second place is going to be that 6th truck of Gerald Campbell, and you can see he's going right up to that top side right away. Interesting move to see. Oh, you see that run, and it looks like we're under caution here early on lap number 2, as we see, I think, 32 truck of Josh Duke goes around. A little bit of damage to that rear end. I'm sure it might have been an accordion effect there for the 32 truck. Started 17th, but it looks like he'll be going to the back of the pack here. And we'll check a look, see what happened here on the KBRN replay. Looks like he already had that damage there. Ooh, it happened ahead of him. Monticelli, the 19 truck, I believe, if I'm looking correctly. Who is in the 19 truck here tonight?
It's JJ Hill. JJ
Hill, there we go.
You see him right about here. Gets into the 97 of Zelensky and then kind of stacks up the field. Monticelli gets into it, and then you see he gets tagged by Mantova to send Duke around, and then other drivers practically nowhere to go. Just a big parking lot here And you see Blake Barney coming to a rest there as Josh tries to whip the car, or the truck rather, back around, and it was a very quick send-off. But just like we saw Mike at Dover a couple weeks back, and just like it happens here at Bristol, when you got a wreck like this, there's absolutely nowhere you can really go.
Yeah, you can see Duke going all the way down to the concrete from the asphalt racing surface. So he was about as low as he could go, but again, with the high banking, self-cleaning racetrack, they went all the way down to the bottom, and just kind of accordion effect there as sometimes wrecks can get pretty big here at Bristol. But looks like, you know, for a short track here at Bristol, I think all those guys will be able to roll and remain, you know, somewhat competitive here tonight.
Yeah, at least that comes with the short tracks. We saw it at Dover, we saw it in New Hampshire, we saw it even at Martinsville. You can have a beat-up race truck and still be able to run within the top guys. You can have that front clip completely ripped off your truck, and you can still be competitive with the drivers up front and still be able to be as quick as everybody else. And that's, I think, the benefit that comes with short tracks like these, is that you don't necessarily rely on aerodynamics as much as, let's say, last week. If you got a bit of damage at Michigan, you'll lose a lot of speed everywhere around. You won't be as quick. But here at Bristol, you can really maintain that speed. Even with some of the damage, it'll hamper you a little bit in terms of the handling, but it won't be too terrible. I think right now, everybody quick to the gun in the first opening laps, quick yellows, so I don't think anybody will decide any strategies here, Mike, and we're pretty much getting ready to go green once again, as Isabella had been holding off Campbell. We'll see how they stretch this time.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting right before that yellow came out. That 6 truck of Gerald Campbell was right against the wall on the outside. Isabella was about a lane or two off of the wall, and he's seen the run that Campbell got off the corner right before the caution came out. So maybe Isabella gonna try to work his groove up here, but he's gonna have to get a good start, as he's gonna start on the inside line. Now, I believe the pace truck lights are off. We're going to be ready to go green on lap number 7 of 50 of heat number 1 here at the Just Keep Your Head 100 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And again, you couldn't shape this. You have the two guys, top 2 in points, Vincent Isabella and Gerald Campbell. I guess you can flip-flop them in the point standings order, but flip-flop them here on the track as well, as Isabella right now does have the advantage. And right behind them are going to be Mason Thompson in that 14 truck and Aiden Kirker in the number 4, or the 39 truck in the 4th spot. And here we go back to green here, lap number 7. Isabella with a good jump on the restart, and we're back green here on lap number 7. And you see right away he clears him, tries to get to the outside, but it looks like Isabella's going to tuck down low. He's going to throw the block. Campbell's going to try that inside line, coming down at turn 4. I think Isabella's going to get that good run off the corner, and he does. And now Campbell's going to tuck on that high side right behind him. And now it looks like Gabriel Edwards is going to try to work his way back up towards the front. He's back in 5th position. He's going to pull ahead of Thompson, going to the corner, drifted up maybe just a little bit. And they're going to be battling side by side as Thompson's going to get that advantage. Ooh, gets close there, Kenneth. Almost making contact, but everything keeps on moving.
That's exactly what I said. You want to run that high line the best way you can, because if you're all the way merged on the bottom, you will not have a run off of any of the corners. As you see Gerald Campbell trying to still put that pressure on the 42 Vincent Isabella, but it stays stagnant for now. I think we're not used to seeing the 6 of Campbell in these colors, or at least in that truck rather. Used to seeing him run a Chevrolet this entire season, but he seems as though he made the switch to Ford, and is now with a brand new paint scheme as he scrubs the wall there in the middle of the corner. Right now, I think just trying to maintain himself behind Isabella. But Mike, I mean, only 50 laps here at Bristol. It's about 15-second laps. You're going very quick around this race venue, and it's very hard to maintain pace and maintain patience, especially as the laps continue to wind down in this way.
Yeah, you know, it looks like Campbell is a little bit faster at certain points. You know, he does scrub the wall, and that's been known to happen here, especially on iRacing, to kind of scrub that wall and get a little bit of damage. But again, you can keep moving, keep that momentum. Oh, we see contact from Blake Barney right as we get the in-car. And he goes around, I believe, cautions out, and it's the 03 of Charlie Kuzma who goes around. And they're battling for the 8th position. Making a little contact, and around goes the 03. And I'll bring out our second caution here of heat number 1 on lap number 14 in the Just Keep Your Head 100. And we'll take a look on the KBRN replay here, exactly what happened. And as we've seen out of the in-car cam, it looks like Barney was just diving into the corner low and washes up. Well, this is the corner before. Ooh, just gets in him. It actually even looked like maybe it was just almost a racing deal there where it looked like Kuzma was trying to, fighting for the same real estate, I guess we could say. See him get a little contact and almost saves it, goes back around. And it almost looked like there was another almost incident ahead between, I believe Carpenter was one of the drivers that were involved there too. It looks like he went around Austin Beer's two teammates of ID Racing. It looks like they had a little issues as well simultaneously as the caution came out.
And you see this is a battle with Levi Zelensky. You see him there, gets tagged in the wall, gets hit again, loses the race truck, and a hard hit to the inside wall. I think, yeah, this exactly happened just as we were talking about the 03 of Charlie Kuzma, so I'm not sure whether the caution was thrown because Kuzma did a half spin and had went around, or whether the 71 had also went around as well, but I guess since they both did it at around the same time, that iRacing RAC constituted it as a yellow flag. So nonetheless, I think either case we were going to be under yellow anyway. And that's the thing about Bristol. I mean, tight racing, just trying to fight for the same space on the racetrack, especially with the runs you get off the top of the racetrack, and it's just not easy when you're so tightly packed.
Yeah, you see some of the guys, you see Barney that corner before, trying to get that low side. You could dive in the corner and you almost have to wash up and pull a slide job on the driver you're racing, and it can be hard to do. And again, going for that real estate, it's almost like traditional Bristol, I guess you could say, when, you know, Bristol of, might even be like 10 or more years ago when it was a one groove racetrack on the bottom, and now it's on top. And that's where we can see a lot of contact. And as you said, we're getting close to that halfway point. And you've seen under green flag conditions just how quick these laps can tick away. So as we're approaching the halfway point, that first half could be over in just a blink of an eye. And there might be some more bumping and banging before this heat is complete.
And Mike, I think you're going to be looking at our previous short track races to get any sort of reference. That's what these drivers really have. They don't necessarily have any other races at Bristol this season to really get some sort of notes to take off of, because we haven't really made a repeat race in this season, and we don't necessarily see any sort of repeat race in this. I think somebody on the left side, that was Nicholas Monticelli. I'm not sure whether he had spun himself around on pit road, but he gets it situated once again. But I mean, those are the notes you have to take. I think Dover is probably the closest you'll get to what Bristol is like, the high banks, and at least the way this track is created. I know Dover's just a little bit longer, but the way it's formed or the way it's constructed, you have to kind of look at that race as maybe some note takers and something about that. But I think that's what the thing is here about the series, Mike, is that you don't necessarily see a lot of tracks most of the season. So when you go to a track, you're seeing it for the first time, and in this competition, in this range, it's not necessarily an easy way to go, as now the pace truck comes off and we're going green.
Going green back on lap number 19 of 50, and Vincent Isabella retakes that lead. He's been leading all heat long here in heat number 1. And Campbell in the wall as Isabella throws a block. And the 39 truck around. Levi Zelensky involved again, shoving the 39 truck around. And I believe the 52 truck of Gabriel Edwards might have had a little contact involved in that as well, as we're under our third caution here on lap number 20. And it looked like just a little bit of mayhem battling up in the top 3. Brings out our caution, and Levi Zelensky, I think he's been involved in every... Thompson made contact, and then Gabriel Edwards finished him off. Levi once again nowhere really to go, and shoving him down the track. So that 97 truck surely seen a lot of action. Seen the 14 truck eventually go around here as well, as cars are sliding everywhere. Barney takes a shot. That could be some serious damage on that 00 truck.
It definitely could. You saw exactly what happened there as those drivers were going around, and it's not necessarily, I mean, it started with the 39. That's exactly where things began. It had begun right about here when the 39 had gone off the corner very squirrely and pretty much had to hold on to that race truck the best way he could, but then it just took a little bit of tap right here from the 52 to send him around. They both go spinning, and Zelensky gets in it, just a big pileup as they were heading off of the, I believe, turn 2. You see him go around, and just a lot of good trucks that were in this competition are now pretty much starting to dwindle at this point.
Yeah, not a lot of clean cars left, but clean trucks rather, and but there's a couple cleaner trucks. Vincent Isabella doesn't look like he has a scratch on him. We've seen Campbell get in the wall, but I don't see too much damage to that 6 truck. And that's usually where you can avoid the most trouble, is right up front. And you see there of Shane DiMantova, he's got a little bit of crinkled up front fenders, but that's usually nothing too out of the norm here at Bristol. But I'm really curious to see what that 000 truck of Blake Barney has. He looks like he took quite the shot that might have some motor damage. You even seen some rear spoiler damage on that 52, as well as you've seen him kind of do a half spin, kind of get into the wall a little bit. But there's some clean trucks there behind the 52 of Gabriel Edwards. Levi Zielinski, we've seen him in a couple wrecks. He's not. But how about David Westergreen in the top 5, a guy that really needed to kind of turn his luck around. He's always been running up front, running close in the top 10, top 5. And here he is running 5th right now as we're approaching halfway. This could be especially the heat that David Westergreen really needs here tonight.
He definitely does. The way that this season has gone for the 2 of Westergreen, you kind of have to hope for a saving grace. Maybe that flare in the middle of the woods that will be some sort of assistance for that 2, and hopefully at least to maybe rack up some points, maybe try a last-second charge to the playoffs, or at least maybe just continue on and build momentum through the season. I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing here. Maybe a decision from the officials. I'm not sure whether we're going single file racing. I think we are, so the officials have changed it to single file. We'll see how this fares out when we go green next time by.
Yeah, we'll be going green here as they're going down the backstretch. Single file racing here. And yeah, very interesting to note that doing the single file here, probably to try to lessen up the cautions here a little bit. Jamming up the restarts, you see everyone's going to go towards that high side. iRacing has it where you can't pass on the inside, so they're going to protect that outside where you can legally pass before you get to the line. And Vincent Isabella is going to take the green here on lap 25. We're halfway, and Isabella cruising out to a big lead. He's got a couple truck length lead over Campbell, but we've seen Campbell have that speed. Can he chase him down in 25 laps? As you see, even Campbell now going a little bit lower than what he was running here before. And now he's kind of closing up towards the wall here. As we check out further back in that top, battling right around the top 5. And you see Austin Beers. And there's Dennis Weeks, last week's Heat 1 winner. How about him? He's running in the 7th spot as of right now. Austin Beers, winner of Heat number 1 of Michigan. He's running right ahead of him in 6th spot, trying to pass David Westergreen, who currently still holds on to that 5th position, sorry. And we go back up front, and it looks like ever so closely, pulling within a little over 0.2 of a second to Vincent Isabella. It looks like he might have a little bit faster of a truck as he's closing in that gap ever so slightly. Kenneth, can he get him? And the other thing, if he can catch him, can he pass him?
It's going to be tough for Campbell to really get by, because we talked about it already at the top of the show, that bottom lane, although it seems to be in real life the natural line you take here at Bristol, it is not the fastest way around here in the iRacing service. You want to run all the way up to the progressive banking in the wall and kind of diamond the turns in a way. You see right here is a 42, enter up high, and then kind of cut down low to the middle of the racetrack to make sure you don't hit the wall on the exit of the corner. And that's going to be the biggest issue here. The 6 will basically just have to dive it into the corner and try a slide job if he's got enough momentum. But now things are starting to fare through. Remember, the tires are also starting to wear, so while these drivers are battling for position, the equipment underneath them are starting to fare through. We haven't seen anybody in the lead lap go down pit road. Watch this big battle as Glenn Bundren tries to go for the pit spot.
Yeah, Bundren, where did he come from? He's charging his way up into the top 5, and he'll get there as he gets around Levi on the bottom. A power move, getting running on the bottom as a caution does come out. Caution number 4. Here on lap number 33, and it looks like we do have someone spun ahead there. Is that Monticelli again in the 93 truck? It is. So not the best heat for the 93 truck, as he's currently in that 17th position. He was still, he's 1 lap down, and unfortunately after that will not be probably getting the lucky dog here as we take a look at what happened. As you see a couple car battle up ahead of him here. Gets alongside of that 60 truck, or 6. Ooh, hard hit to the inside wall. And it's just kind of running out of room. I think that's kind of what a case we have here. Oh no, actually, I think that's the Was that the 60 of KBueno? Like a well, I think some of the trucks went down pit road as we see our second and third place runners, or originally our runners, the sixth truck of Gerald Campbell and Gabriel Edwards did dive down pit road. And you're probably kind of lining up in that wheelhouse of maybe is it long enough where you can get that advantage? I believe the top four have not pitted, and that's Isabella, Westergreen, Bundren, and Levi Zielinski. And Dennis Weeks in that fifth position is he at least pitted one time in this race. So we see Campbell all the way back into 14th, and by the time we get back to Green Flag Racing, we're only gonna have a handful of laps to go, or a couple handful of laps to go at least, probably around maybe a baker's dozen. So it's going to be interesting to see if those fresh tires do pay off here, Kenneth, and if they can charge their way up to the front. Yeah, that's gonna be the big question, and maybe even the strategy being, because we've seen that Campbell, maybe have a little bit faster of a truck, but it's so hard to pass here at Bristol. Maybe he's trying to get around that, 10 or 11 spot with top 11 will invert, so maybe he's trying to get around there to favor the invert. But I think with the fresh tires, there might be a couple more trucks he might be able to pass, as we'll find out as we're gonna get ready to go back green here, as Vincent Isabella is going to leave the green here on lap number 39 of 50, and Isabella once again gets a good restart. And now up in the second spot is David Westergreen, as he's going to pull away by about a half a second. And how about Adam Tepe in that sixth spot? We haven't really said too much about him, but how about three wide? Those fresh tires making an advantage. KBueno sinking like a rock with the guys on fresh rubber ahead of him, now behind, or that were behind him, now ahead of him. As we look back through the field here, David Westergreen, can he chase down Vincent Isabella? Can he hold off Bundren in that third position with 10 laps to go here in heat number one? But as of right now, it looks like whereas Campbell's made his way up to the 12th position. So right now the tires aren't taking a huge advantage, but I wonder if the pit strategy, Kenneth, would have worked a little bit better if they were doing double file restarts. Yeah, with 7 laps to go, Campbell only getting up to 10th spot. Shane DeMantova is ahead of him in 9th, but right now cruising to over a second lead over David Westergreen is Vincent Isabella. But this changes everything as we get another caution with 5 laps to go. As it might have been that 20 truck that might have had issues. Yeah, Shane's fallen all the way back to around the 14th position, so we'll take a look at the KBRN replay to see exactly what brought out caution number 5, and it looks like a stack-up battling for position. And Campbell trying to take advantage on those fresh tires. Makes a little bit of contact, but with the 20 truck, and Gabriel Edwards also gets involved, gets spun around, so a little bit more damage involved in his truck. We'll take another look here. I think they're trying to pass. It might have been a little bit of net code there as well. And just almost too good of a run there by the 6 truck of Gerald Campbell, I think, on Dementova. It's gonna get very hectic here, and he's gonna have to make quick work of that second guy in second, David Westergreen, because we've seen the good jumps that Vincent Isabella has gotten on every restart, as he's been able to hold on to the lead for every lap so far. And looks like we're gonna be headed to a green-white checkered, so very quick work of it. But it looks like he is up for the challenge, and he does have guys who have a little bit fresher tires behind him. Dennis Weeks in 4th spot, heat number 2 winner last week at Michigan again. He's got about the freshest rubber in the top 5, or maybe even Harrison Talion, who's pitted 3 times, I believe, so far. He's running in 5th. So it'll be interesting to see now that there's a little bit less of a gap between, as far as the buffer is for the guys that have not pitted. It's just going to be your top 3, and we'll see what the strategy is going to pay off for Vincent Isabella. Is it staying out? Is that going to be the correct answer here? That's going to be, I think, the question we're going to answer very shortly, as we're ready to go back green here to finish off the Just Keep Your Head 100 heat number 1 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Hope you're all enjoying it. I think this is going to get pretty wild here, Kenneth, as the pace truck looks like it's going to be ready to duck down onto pit road here in just a second. And Isabella's going to lead him to the green. He's going to get another good jump over Westergreen. He's got about over half a second diving down into turn number 1 on Budrin. He's going to go to the bottom, trying to get alongside the number 2 truck, but of Westergreen. He's going to get a good run coming down into turn number 3 as they come to the line. 1 to go. Isabella, all he has to do is cruise. Westergreen trying to dig to make up any ground that he can over Vincent Isabella, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so. He's going to try to hold off Budrin coming to the line, and Vincent Isabella is going to win the heat. Westergreen finally gets that good run. He's going to finish second, and 3rd spot's going to go to Budrin Jr. in that 37th truck. So those 3 guys who stayed out on the old tires, it did pay off for them, as that's your top 3 going into the or finishing out heat number 1. And a dominating performance, a performance I think Vincent Isabella needed if he wanted to say he's the points leader going into next week at Las Vegas. Yeah, you know how much crazier the Bristol night race always gets pumped up than the spring day race. Well, now it's dirt, but back when it was the day race, so we could see things get a little crazy as they get warmed up for heat number 2. And the top 11 will invert, and we'll get the standings for you on the other side. We'll take a quick break here as we'll let the guys warm up, and we'll be right back after this short break.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
And welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway as they are finishing up the warm-up of our 5-minute halftime break for the Just Keep Your Head 100, race number 9 of 13 here for the OSCA Truck Series. And as you see Blake Barney getting some laps in, just kind of curious, Kenneth. I wonder how much different the track will run. I think for the most part, we're going to see them, as you see Barney there too, running that high side. So as far as the preferred line, I don't think we're going to see too much change for it. But as far as if these trucks are going to tighten up a little bit as the sun goes down, if that will play any factor into heat number 2 here.
To be honest, Mike, I think we're probably going to see the opposite. I don't think the trucks are going to get tighter. I think the trucks are going to get looser. The track's going to be cooler as a result now that we're starting later in the evening. So that means there's going to be some sort of elevated grip. It's not going to be wildly different from what we saw in the first race, but it is going to be some grip nonetheless. So it'll help the drivers who maybe struggle with their race trucks in that first race, help themselves in the second one, and be able to maybe have a different race. We've seen it happen, I think, almost every race this season, Mike, where one time you see a day race, you see one driver dominate, you see one driver do the best, then you turn the lights on, you put the sun down, you put the moon up, and all of a sudden you have a completely different race. So I think we're probably going to see the same thing here tonight at Bristol. It's going to be a dramatic change, and right now in practice, Blake Barney's the fastest, so we might look for some other new drivers to take place of control when we go green here.
Yeah, talking about guys who dominated the first heat, Vincent Isabella led all 50 laps. He's going to start all the way back in the 11th position as we look back up to our front row. Levi Zielinski, we've seen him get involved. He had some speed, but got involved in a lot of incidents. He's going to start on your pole. Gabriel Edwards, he's shown he's had speed here. He started in the top 5. He was running the top 5 in the early parts of heat number 1. He's going to be on your front row as well. And Brent Jones starting on the inside. Getting a good solid top 10 there, and Adam Tepe will be alongside him in row number 2. Gerald Campbell, points leader, he's going to be 5th alongside Chris Jordan. And behind them will be Harrison Talion and Dennis Weeks. And then going back, another row will be Glenn Bundren and David Westergreen. You've seen that battle for second spot right at the end of heat number 1. And they'll be starting all the way back in row number 5. And then Vincent Isabella will start alongside. You see those similarly painted ID racing trucks as the short track kid Austin Beers. Let's see if he can do some short track magic and work himself up into the top 10. And then going back is going to be Charlie Kuzma and Shane DiMantova. And behind them will be Schumann, KBueno in 15th, 16th, Monticelli in 17th, Barney in 18th, Mason Thompson 19th, and Aiden Kirker will round out the top 20. So again, there's going to be Levi Zielinski starting on the front row. This is the time I think he could get turn that luck around. I think he really needs it. He got beaten and banged around that first heat. He's looking for redemption here in heat number 2.
I think you could probably say the same for almost every driver in the top 5, I'd say, apart from Gerald Campbell. You, of course, wanted a better start, but look at guys like the 52 Gabriel Edwards, had a rough running at the end, pitting on fresh tires. The 89 of Brent Jones making his first start in this series. Now going to have a shot to run up front. The 96 of Adam Tepe, really didn't talk about him much in that first race. He'll be the outside of row number 2. So I think this invert in the top 11 is helping some drivers. Hopefully for Levi Zielinski, this can be a complete 180 from what it was first time around and have a truck that's clean and have a truck that stays there to the end, maybe in victory lane.
Yeah, we'll be about half a lap from going green. Yeah, you get that first starting position. We've seen what Vincent Isabella did with it as he ran away with heat number 1. Can Levi Zielinski do it for heat number 2? We see those 2 Fords on the front row. We'll see who can come out on top as we're getting ready to go green. Zielinski's going to lead them to the green flag, and they are racing in the Just Keep Your Head 100 heat number 2. As Zielinski's going to jump right up top, try to anyway. He runs kind of that middle line coming on 2. Now he clears Gabriel Edwards, and he's going to the top side as they pull away from the rest of the pack. As Tepe takes over that 3rd position over Brent Jones. He's kind of stuck on that bottom side right now, as it looks like Gerald Campbell's going to try to make quick work of that 89 truck as well.
He's going to use it, doing the high side. Going to be right behind, follow Chris Jordan. But Chris Jordan is going to find a lane of his own. He's going to be to the inside of Adam Tepe. That is for position as well for the 3rd spot. So now he's going to slip into there. And I talked about using the bottom on fresh tires. That's exactly what the 4 did. Now the 6 will follow in the same route. And everybody about 2 wide in a good amount of this field. Look at the rear of the top 10. There's the 23 of Harrison Tyler, one of the drivers in the top 10 in point standings. Did not have such a good run in the first race. Now running single file as he gets by the 89 of Brent Jones.
Yeah, he'll take over that A spot as Brent Jones gets settled in 9th. But, those 2 trucks there, the 4 and the 6, as we're looking out back right now of that 4 truck of Chris Jordan and Campbell, making a run, going to that inside. These 2 guys have proved, I think, already the difference between the day and the night. It looks like the bottom lane's working a little bit better than we saw in heat number 1, so that could be one of the big factors of the transition from day to night. As we see, it was hard for those guys to kind of run that bottom, as you see now Beers and Westergreen trying to do it as well, as Beers is trying to work for that 5th position over Adam Tepe, and Westergreen behind him, and he's battling 9th. Now they do tuck up to that high side. So again, the top line is still preferred, but it looks like a lot of guys are starting to take a peek to the bottom.
It definitely is, but I mean, right now, you see exactly as you wrote on board just a little bit there with Austin Beers in the 3 truck, that if you can cut a little bit lower than the driver in front of you, you can definitely force a nose under and kind of unsettle their truck, give way, and probably right there as things get very tight, trying to get to the outside wall as he's making the pass work, or at least trying to make that pass work and stick. I think now he's found his nose in. Tepe gave him the room, and now Austin Beers will take over the 5th spot and be mired into the top 5. That's exactly what you have to do. Either cut it lower than the driver in front of you or find a way to really peek your nose up top. But especially with the way drivers are defending, things could get very dangerous if you do so, and that would have been a big wreck if things gone awry.
That was very close there, and able to keep it under green so far, as all these laps so far have been under green since the restart. And as of right now, or since the start, I should say. And then Adam Tepe, we look out front. Westergreen, as he tries to work his way back up front, has worked himself up from the 10th position, worked himself as one spot up into 9th as he tries to work again on that bottom side. Looks like this time he's going to get it to work. And right now it looks like the 03 truck, Charlie Kuzma, is going to try to make a move on the bottom as well. And here comes Isabella, also trying to work on that bottom side. But right now Johnny Eckert making the top side work as he gets around both of them. And looks like right now Vincent Isabella not really having that luck as he's started 11th. Right now mired back in 12th as he's not really moving forward after that dominating performance in heat number 1.
He definitely isn't, and you'd probably expect guys like Isabella to start punching through the field and pretty much getting all positions very quickly and rolling through the front. I mean, Vincent Isabella was one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack in that first race, and now he doesn't have the clean air. He's pretty much deep in traffic, so it's been rough for him, and I think coupled with some extra damage now on his race truck from some of the things that happened there around where Charlie Kuzma is, that also does not help as well. Here's another driver looking for a better run, Josh Duke in the 32. Remember, wrecked in the opening segment of that first race. He's now stepped into the top 15.
Yeah, he's trying to work his way up into up in the top 10 right now, currently running in 12th. And he started all the way back in 23rd, made his charged up 11 spots, as you see there on the ticker. So he's making some quick work of at least half the field here so far. He's looking pretty fast. Maybe needs a caution to maybe bunch the field back up as he's going to maybe try to pass some more guys. And how about Gabriel Edwards holding on to that second spot as well? But so far, Levi Zielinski, 1.6 second lead, almost a 1.7 second lead rather, coming down to lap number 19. And Zielinski, all he needed was some clean track. No trucks around him. This truck totally different than what it looked like in heat number 1. By this point, he was already involved in a couple incidents. Right now, able to keep it clean, and he is ticking these laps by relatively quickly, about 15.5 seconds time around. He was last time about a 10.5 faster than the second place truck of Gabriel Edwards. So far, this could be the heat where Levi finally turns things around and gets himself a victory here tonight.
That's the motto at a place like Bristol, all the short tracks, and we had talked with a couple of drivers. I think David Carpenter also says it well, that in these types of races, the biggest key to hold, especially if you want to not even just win the race, but to contend overall, is to keep that race truck clean. Keep that race car underneath you. Keep it with as minimal damage as possible, and you will be okay. Now the 97 is clear of traffic. He has pretty much clear track all the way around. Maybe some lap traffic to focus up the road. But right now, he's focusing on his laps, focusing on where he is on the racetrack, just trying to log in as many laps as he can now that we're about halfway through this second race. And now that he's got no damage on his race truck, it's about keeping it that way for the rest of this event.
Yeah, so far good. Oh, but then we have a caution that could play a little bit of a spoiler here for that 97 truck. And it looks like, ooh, our guy who is running in the top 5, Chris Jordan, looks like heavy damage. Well, to take a look at the replay to see exactly what happened, he was running in the top 5. I believe he was in 3rd spot, and he was chasing down the 52 truck. You see here, battle between Campbell and Jordan. And, oh, just a little bit of contact. It looked like Jordan kind of came down. Oh, and another hard hit. And that's where I think he kind of did his truck in. I couldn't see who made that contact there. We'll take another look. And man, a hard hit there. Talion in the 23 truck, who is working himself into the top 10. Looks like he took a heavy shot to that front end. Doesn't appear to be too much damage, but there could be something terminal, as that 4 truck is in really rough shape right now.
Ooh. Right on board there. That was the contact. I mean, we've been watching this battle for a while now, him and Gerald Campbell, and we talked about how he was going to get past him, try to force his nose to the inside, and things got very tight. Ultimately at the expense of the 4, and then just gets wiggled around and gets hit once more by the 23. And then I think right about here, suspension's damage, or he's got a flat tire on the left rear. You see his car can't even turn correctly. He has to keep it skewed, and his engine is blown, but ultimately he had to take the tow. So what was a very promising opening stint for the 4 machine is now gone up in smoke.
Gone up in smoke, a promising run indeed now over. And we're seeing similar strategies as we've seen in heat number 1 right now, our top 5, and that's Zielinski, Beers, Eckert, Isabella, and Bundren have stayed out. As Isabella now in the 4th spot. Oh, some damage, I believe, as well from that incident for Westergreen. So at least he got one good half in, but he's gonna have to work on some damage on that truck and see if he can work his way back up there and salvage something here in heat number 2, as he was running in the top 10 earlier before the caution came out in this one. But about Gabriel Edwards is in 6th spot. He did come down pit road, so we'll see again. You know, in this heat, we've seen less cautions. I believe that might have been our first caution here of heat number 2, I do believe. So a lot more green flag laps here for these guys, these top 5. So this might be a time where the tires might pay off a little bit more than we've seen in heat number 1.
It definitely could, but remember, we refer back to the conversation of track position. How much are you willing to risk to pit on fresh tires and then get it now? I think for now, the best situation for every driver, and I think it's what we also mentioned with Gerald Campbell's strategy late in the first race, is that now they have some time. They have this yellow flag. They can reset, take a restart, and methodically work their way through the field. The laps do wind down quickly, but they do have a lot more under their clock here. They have a lot more to worry about here. We're about to go green. Pace truck is down. Levi Zielinski and Austin Beers lead them back. So you head back on lap number 29.
29, about 22 laps to go. Levi Zielinski shooting up to the lead. Can these guys stay up front on old tires? We've seen how good Levi Zielinski is when he has that clean air, but now he's got those bulls behind him who's got some fresh tires, as Isabella's trying to work past Beers on the top side. He's getting slowed up. He's got older tires. Here comes Johnny Eckert. Another guy stayed out. Oh, contact between Beers and Gabriel Edwards, and the caution will come out. It appears that contact led to the 52 truck of going around. As again, another promising run. He's showing speed all night, and oh, terminal damage for that 52 truck. And just by the way that contact was, we'll take a look at the KBRN replay. But I believe that the nose of that 52 truck probably headed straight into the wall. We'll take a look. Contact, boom, hard into the wall. And oh, Schumann, gets into the side of him. And that's something certainly that 24 truck did not want to see either. But overall, for how many cars or trucks that drove by the spinning 52 truck, I think we're pretty lucky to only have one other truck involved in that wreck.
Yeah, it definitely was. But for Gabriel Edwards, I mean, things are going well at the moment. It's put back in traffic here. So many drivers fighting for the real estate, and then Austin Beers gets right into him. What a big hit to the inside wall. We saw it earlier here tonight. And again, strikes another driver, creates another victim here, the last great Coliseum. But how about that battle, though, for second on back? I mean, all those guys are racing very hard. I think, Mike, that's the first time we've seen that in any of the races so far in this event at Bristol. We've seen so many drivers in a big pack fighting for position like that. We've seen maybe 2-3 trucks battling for position, but not about 5 at the same time.
Yeah, you could have threw a blanket, especially over to the guys of Eckert, Isabella. Beers was in that battle. I think Blake Barney might have been in there as well. They were all battling for Edwards. They're all battling for those spots, and how tight this track is, and it's really hard. It looked like maybe even Beers coming out of that corner, it gets maybe a little snappy loose coming off, and maybe try to correct his truck, staying off the wall, and got into the 52 truck to end his night. But hopefully we'll see some more good green flag action like that. But right now, the man of the hour, Levi Zielinski, pulling away from the field, on that last restart before the caution came out. So we'll see as we're going back to doubling them up here, I believe, or maybe the pace truck lights are still on. I couldn't quite tell there. Kind of hard to see. Now it's covered up. I think the pace truck lights are still on, so at least have one more lap before we get going back green here, Kenneth. And it's going to be hard to when you're the leader, you control the restart. It's easy for him to pull away from the field, and as we've seen from basically second on back, that's where the dogfight's really going to happen. But you got to make quick work of it if you're going to try to win this heat.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily concerned here, Mike, about Zielinski's case, because when you're the leader, I mean, you're the control car. You can easily just shoot up ahead the rest of the field, start the field off, and you'll be on your way to turn 1. The biggest concern will be whether Eckert could be able to defend everybody else. You have the better run off the corner, but he will have that pressure nonetheless. He'll have the 42 there. He'll have maybe Blake Barney right on his rear bumper. He'll have maybe guys like David Carpenter right in row number 3 able to take pressure and pounce whether things go crazy or not. It's the final 15 laps of this race, so if you're gonna go for points, it's gonna be a matter about how you can do it now at this point. I don't think Zelensky is in such a big worry unless he really botches his restart up.
Yeah, I think he's pretty confident on the good restarts that he has had, and we're about to see another one here as the pace truck dives off. We're going to come to lap number 36, and Levi Zelensky once again gets a good restart. Johnny Eckert's clearing right now Vincent Isabella, but Isabella's going to dive down low and not going to get the run off. Blake Barney is going to take that 3rd spot away from the 42, and now he's going all the way up to the lead. It looks like he has fresher tires in the top 2, and he's trying to make quick work on the bottom. And one thing of note here, we didn't see that big of a jump for the 97 truck. So if that 00 gets around, he might be making a run, and we see him get around the 90 and close in on the 97, tucks in behind him. We could have a battle for the lead here pretty quickly.
We definitely could. 13-lap old tires for the 00 Blake Barney. Meanwhile, 37 for the 97 of Levi Zelensky. Here comes Barney to the inside. First time we see him fight for the race lead all race long. With about 12 laps to go, door-to-door contact between the two. Barney clears for the race lead.
That was about a last-ditch effort, I think, for the 97 truck of Levi Zelensky, trying to do anything he could to hold off those fresher tires from Blake Barney, but the 4 feel-goods prevail once again, or usually do. I guess didn't hit heat number 1, but here they do, as Blake Barney is going to take the lead, put Zelensky into 2nd, and how about Bundren? He's got fresher tires as well as the car ahead of him, Austin Beers, as they're going to try to make quick work, as now put Beers, as they bang, him and Eckert bang going down into turn number 2, or turn number 1, I believe. As you see, those 2 guys is fresh 4, sorry, that was, as they're battling on that inside line. The fresher tires this time, I think just because we had longer green flag runs, it looks like a bigger advantage for those guys that came down pit road at some point in this heat. It looks like they're the guys that are moving up front right now.
They definitely are, but this was the biggest move of them all. The 00 taking the lead away, and now as he's pulling away from everybody else, it's about whether Zelensky can kind of defend here, maybe get a better position nonetheless, even if he can't win this race at the end, maybe hoping for yellow to take position over. And now it's all about whether the 00 can log these laps in. We've seen a caution come out in the later stage of the first race. There's the pass for 2nd still trying to be made between the 3 and the 97. That high line still being able to be successful on the exit of the corner. They're still able to go in. 5 laps to go next time by, and Blake Barney's about 2.5 seconds ahead of these two.
He's pulling away, but Levi's trying to hang on to that 2nd spot, but I think Austin Beers is going to get by, and now he has that top side, putting Zelensky to the bottom, as he's going to get back up top as quick as he can, and now Bundren is going to try to make a pass here for the 3rd position. But I think if you're a guy like Levi Zelensky and some of the luck that he's had, there's contact. The 37 getting on the apron, is it going to wash up? They make contact. Zelensky able to keep it straight. He's going to hold on to that 4th spot for now. Going to fall back into 5th as Eckert gets by. As I was just going to say, he needed a good run. Now he's fallen back. Now he's battling with Isabella for the 5th spot. As you see Blake Barney still able to cruise to almost a 3-second lead. And it was a run where I think Zelensky needed a good luck run. And it almost ended up in disaster, as we're going to come down to the white flag. There you see Barney going by the start-finish line. 1 lap to go. Or I believe maybe now 1 lap to go. Sometimes Bristol get a little confused. Or maybe now, there we go, final lap, 1 to go here for Blake Barney, as he's got a 3.5-second lead. He's going down the backstretch. All he's got to do is hit cruise control, and it looks like he's going to take the victory here in the Just Keep Your Head 100 heat number 2. As you see him doing a little victory drift, Austin Beers is going to come home in 2nd. Put Bundren in 3rd, I believe. Eckert or something. This might have been an incident there at the end, as somehow Josh Duke comes out of nowhere, gets into the 4th spot. Isabella 5th, and Levi Zelensky comes home in 6th. That might have been a little bit of an incident between the 90 truck of Eckert and Levi Zielinski, trying to maybe get a one last ditch effort. You see Zielinski dive to the bottom. Oh, making contact and hard hit. But how about Josh Duke? Haven't seen him. We've seen how much he was charging all the way back from around that 23rd spot, getting to the bottom, able to stay clear of the wrecking trucks behind him, coming home with that 4th place run. So good for him. And just to note, too, Vincent Isabella comes home in 5th, along with our points leader. He did not fare too well, as he was 5 laps down in 17th. So this is going to be a good night for Isabella, winner of heat number 1. As you see, ID Racing sweeps the night, as Blake Barney is going to take heat number 2. And there you see the finishing order of their top 10. And yeah, so pretty jumbled up from what we've seen in heat number 1 there, Kenneth. You look through the rest of the field, and all in all, I think overall, though, one thing we can say is, as I mentioned before, is that Vincent Isabella had a really good points night here at Bristol.
He definitely did. I mean, going from 1st in that first race to 5th in the second one, this is a large jump, and that is exactly what Isabella needed to get up into the point standings and probably take over the point seed for the first time this entire season over Gerald Campbell in the 6 machine. So this will be big numbers for the driver of that 42. But I think the eyes are on the other truck on the same team, the 00 Blake Barney, who burned it down here from Bristol, and he is your winner tonight.
Yeah, winner of heat number 2. How about that? The 00 Blake Barney getting his, I believe, for him, that is going to be win number 2 for him on this season. So congratulations to ID Racing for Vincent Isabella picking up his 3rd win and Blake Barney picking up his 2nd. And now we'll go to the guy who you said earlier in the program was looking for redemption. He did fairly well in both heats, finishing 3rd. And Glenn, I don't know if that was quite the redemption you wanted, but overall, finishing 3rd in both heats, that's a pretty solid night.
Yeah, I mean, 2nd loser, but it was an awesome night. Man, I wanted the 1st place, man. I saw I won this league, so I feel like we got another one stolen away from us tonight. So hopefully, wherever we are next week, I think we're at Charlotte next week. I'm not sure, but hopefully we can get our 1st place there.
Yeah, I believe next week we're at Las Vegas, so hopefully that's a good track for you as well. But yeah, you said how bad you wanted to win, and it looked like you were driving pretty hard in both heats. It looks like you had a lot of speed, but maybe the track position didn't work out for you tonight?
No, it didn't work out for me. Whenever the invert happened, I thought it was like the top 5, but we got shoveled to I believe 8th, which didn't help us. And then I got loose on like lap 3 and took out the 42 of Vincent. So I hate it for him, but he rebounded to get a decent finish. So we'll go next week and get the W, I guess. Hopefully.
I think the redemption will be coming soon for you. It's just, I think, a matter of when for the good runs you've been having so far. But Kenneth, you got anything for Bundren here?
Well, I know you wanted the win. I know that we talked before the race started. You said you wanted the redemption to be here. You want that win, and especially what happened to you at Michigan last week, you wanted it even more. But with these 3rd place finishes, considering that you've had decent finishes and you actually had a pretty fast race truck tonight, does this give you some better momentum, at least now going into Las Vegas, as opposed to what happened at Michigan, or do you think it's still the same way and nothing really changed from there?
Positive momentum means we can stay up in the front with the big dogs and carry the momentum to Vegas. So hopefully we'll get the win at Vegas. Looking strong for the 37 truck.
Yeah, we'll hopefully see that 37 truck up front next week. Before we send you off here, Glenn, any shout-outs, any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Ill Media for the trucks, KBRN, they broadcast my league, and Vic Balloon for hosting this league, and Blaze Designs.
Awesome. Well, again, good runs here tonight in both heats, and hopefully we'll see you in victory lane here pretty soon.
Yep, we will.
He's calling his shot. I like it. All right, that was Glenn Bundren Jr., who picks up 2 third-place finishes in both heats here tonight. Up next, we'll bring in finisher number 2 in heat number 2, and that's going to be the 3 truck. It's the short track kid of Austin Beers. And Austin, a pretty eventful night for you here tonight. Kind of mired back in 12th place. Didn't quite have the luck, but it looked like you had speed here in both heats. Do you think you had anything to maybe pick up a win here tonight?
I thought maybe I could. I had limited practice, and the first race got involved in a wreck early, and just kind of hampered our race there, and finished 1 spot out of where we would have started pole, which would have helped. And then got up to 5th, and on that restart there when I was second to Zielinski, the car just got really tight on me, and I hit the wall and came down and got Gabe Edwards on accident. I apologize to him for that. But other than that, to drive back to second, it was really good.
Yeah, really good night for you as well as your whole team. ID Racing being able to sweep both heat wins and you picking up that win last week. There's a lot of it seems like there's a lot of positive momentum going for ID Racing so far.
Yeah, the guys back in the shop are doing a great job with the cars, and a good leadership by Vincent Isabella and Shane DiMantova. So that's what's helping us out here.
Yeah, it sounds good. But before we first, Kenneth, do you have anything for Austin?
Well, I mean, these performances, I think, are starting to really roll in your direction. I mean, the win at Michigan last week, and then you finished second here in this second race at Bristol, performing well. Do you think now that you go into the final regular season races, now you're heading to Las Vegas to cap off the regular season, is there any mindset you're looking still now to move forward, or think maybe you might have some other wins on your plate, or what do you think is going to be the right strategy now as you head to the end of the season here?
Just keep going for wins. I mean, unfortunately, I missed too many races, so I can't make the playoffs. So I'm just no point racing on the table. So I'm just going for wins.
Going for wins indeed. But one question I do gotta ask you: you're known as the short track kid. Next week we go to 1.5 miles at Las Vegas. How do you think you're gonna fare?
I think we'll be decent. Las Vegas, I actually really like that track, so I think we'll be pretty good. Maybe get another win for ID Racing.
Awesome, I like it. But before we send you off here, any shout-outs you want to give?
I gotta thank you guys. You guys put on a hell of a show. Vic Bloom for putting on the league. I gotta thank Big Kitty on the pit box, and my team, ID Racing.
Awesome. Well, hopefully Big Kitty on the pit box can get you another win next week at Vegas, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. That's Austin Beers finishing second place in heat number 2. But before we bring on winner of heat number 2, we'll bring the winner of heat number 1, and that's the 42 truck of Vincent Isabella. And Vincent, able to pick up that heat, led all 50 laps in heat number 1, and looked like you're mired back in traffic after the invert. Maybe used a little bit of strategy to get yourself up, and another solid top 5 in heat number 2. So overall, I think you got to be happy with the win and happy with the points night that you had here tonight.
Yeah, I'm be happy when I see the point standings later and I'm first. But yeah, it was awesome. I had David hounding me for the last 10 laps of the first heat, and then almost got wrecked in the second heat and burned everything off. So luckily those guys wrecked coming out of 4, and I got 5th. Solid points night.
Yeah, solid points night, and even you being the part owner of ID Racing, sweeping both heats here with yourself and Blake Barney, who we'll interview here in just a second. But as a team owner, rattling off these wins so far in the OSCA Truck Series.
Yeah, we've been strong. Blake played strategy perfect there in that second race, and pretty sure he probably would have won anyway. And yeah, it's been awesome. We exceeding expectations, I'd say, would be the words.
Exceeding expectations, and nowhere to go but to the moon here. But and things are looking bright at ID Racing so far. But Kenneth, do you have anything for Vincent?
Well, I think, Vincent, if there's anything that's going to come out of this race, is that you will probably, I think most likely in a very good case, be the current points leader in the OSCA Truck Series. I think one of the first times you see it shift hands ever since I think we started this season at Daytona. And now you're in control of the point seed. You've got a straight shot to the playoffs. There's only one race left. Is there going to be a certain mindset you're going to carry through the playoffs now that you're the point seeder, or will things change? How will things work for not only you, but for your teammates as well?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be just keep the momentum up. Now that we have our third win of the season, we're riding pretty good momentum as a team going into the playoffs here.
No, I got to ask you if you know offhand. I believe Barney just picked up his second win. I believe Beers has 2 wins. Do you know how many total wins you have so far in this OSCA Truck Series? Do you have them counted, tallied?
We got at least 6 or 7. At least I know Shane's got 1. I have 3. That's 4. Beers and Blake, but at least 8.
Yeah, 8. So yeah, the dominating team. So that's got to be a beautiful sight, and of course, even for your own individual standpoint, as you said, more than likely going to be on top of the standings heading into the final race of the regular season at Las Vegas next week. And we had the short track kid in here calling a shot at a 1.5 mile track. He's going out there for wins. He's not going out there for playoff points. But do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, no, he's been fast. He has these trucks figured out in every league we run. He's top 5 in points in Elite. He's probably could have been top 5 points in this, even if he didn't make the races. But yeah, he's been fast.
So are you saying he's going to beat you next week?
No, he'll probably beat me. He's better at the 1.5 miles.
Man, the short track kid, good at 1.5 miles. That's it. That's interesting. But before we send you off here, Vincent, any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, big shout-out to Beers and Blake for that second race, obviously going 1-2, and me in the top 5 there. Just an all-around great team performance. And David Westergreen, second in the first race. I mean, he's had speed all year, but shit luck, and that was awesome to see him. Definitely Big Kitty. We love Big Kitty around these parts. I know Beers shouted him out too. He's rehabbing off the IL. Shane D. Mantova Designs and Drunk with Buds podcast.
Awesome. Well, I like the Big Kitty shout out. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, good again. Good run here tonight, Vincent, for you and your team, and we'll hopefully see you up front and see you right back here next week after Vegas.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yep, you bet. Thank you. And that was Vincent Isabella, not only your heat number 1 winner, you're more than likely going to be your, we'll say, unofficial points leader. But now we're going to go down to the winner of heat number 2, and that is Blake Barney in that 0-0. He took a hard hit in heat number 1, Blake. It looked like you had some speed, but it really shown in the second heat as you powered your way up front with that fresh rubber. How does it feel to get win number 2 on the season?
It feels good. Yeah, definitely. I messed up qualifying and hit the fence, but tried to make a recovery through the field in heat 1. Just didn't work out my way, but learned a lot from that and had to start in the back again, and it worked out. That caution halfway really helped me. The tire strategy played huge and just made the right call. So
now to get yourself into that position, was it mostly pit strategy? You started all the way back in 18th, and passing was at a premium tonight. Was most of that track position done on pit road, or did you kind of work your way up front by passing a lot of guys?
I mean, when everyone pit, I was the second car on fresh tires, so I definitely got through the midfield and got to the front of the midfield. But a lot of those guys stayed out. I wasn't really sure why, because in my opinion, I knew the tire strategy was going to be huge, and just through circumstance, I had pressure tires and halfway through the race, and I knew I definitely had a huge shot for the win. So.
Yeah, and able to get it done in the closing laps here tonight. Kenneth, you got anything for Blake?
Well, I mean, we saw 2, I think, completely distinct races. The first race was in the day, had a lot more yellows. The second race, although there was more grip, there was definitely barely any yellows and a lot of green flag runs. But as this track came in total compared to the other short tracks you've been through this season, what do you think is the most challenging part about this one that stood out to you the most, that kind of maybe give you some quarrels throughout this event so far?
Yeah, definitely this track's really hard to pass at. I wish iRacing would do a little bit better job of getting some grip, like the PJ1 strip down on the bottom line like they have in real life. Right now, the way it is, the top is the only way to go. And I ran B-Fixed a little, the Xfinity cars, and when the tires wear out, um, you're able to make the bottom work, but the bottom is just really tough here, and you just kind of have to make your you got to restart race basically, and race on the restarts, get your positions there, and ride. And the pit strategy again came in huge, gave me a lot of positions. So it's the what sets this apart from other tracks is just other short tracks, I should say, is just it's so hard to pass. It's all about momentum. So
So, again, able to get it done with that pit strategy here tonight. But next week at Vegas should have a little bit more prime opportunities to get some passing in. And we were talking to some of your teammates in Piers and Isabella, and they say they're gonna win. So there's 2 heats. There's 2 guys saying they're gonna win. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, we all should have the objective to do our best, and we all think we're gonna win. If you don't think you're going to the race thinking that you have a shot to win, you're doing something wrong. So hopefully one of us can get it, but any of us, I'd be happy.
Yeah, it was again a good night here tonight for your team as well, and a good night for you picking up another heat win. But before we send you off, any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I just got to thank ID Racing, a couple friends. We have a lot of fun. McConey Setup Shop, and then Big Kitty's on the hood of my car. He was on the top of the pit box making all the calls. He actually made the tire strategy call, so just got to thank my crew chief, Big Kitty.
Big Kitty, yeah, the 3rd shout out tonight for Big Kitty. That's awesome. But best of luck to you and Big Kitty next week heading into Vegas.
Yep, thank you.
You bet. And that is your heat number 2 winner, Blake Barney. And as we're gonna send him off, we're gonna do a couple more interviews. I think we had some late rollers here of heat number 1, and that's gonna be the 2 truck of David Westergreen. I'm gonna pull him in here because I think this has been a long time coming for that 2 truck. He didn't quite get the best result here he still got 10th in heat number 2, but David finally able to show that speed, flex those muscles that you had most of the year, and finally had that luck turnaround, able to get that 2nd place in heat number 1. How does it feel to kind of finally shake off that monkey off your back?
Oh, you got me at the perfect time. I literally just got back to my headset. It feels absolutely amazing. Really, that was the best run I've had all year. Felt really good, and got some benefit of some people staying or pitting when I stayed out, and I brought her home in P2. The 2nd race didn't go as well as I wanted, but I was fast and felt really strong about it. So I'm glad I finally get to talk to you, man. It's been way too long. Should have been up here a lot sooner.
Oh yes, indeed, and yeah, it's great to have you up here. And you're one of those guys that were pretty close to that bubble of the chase, and I think with tonight that should probably get you lock you in a spot for that chase heading in Vegas. We have one more race to go, but barring anything too catastrophic, hopefully you got that monkey totally off your back. Looks like we'll be seeing you dance for that championship.
The idea is to go in and win at Vegas. I think that's, if I can do that, because I think Vegas is my best track right now, and if we can get in there at Vegas and run well, I think we'll have we'll be good. I don't know what the points are. I think it's close. I was 2 or 3 out before this race, and I got the 2nd and then the 13th, so I didn't lose too many spots behind the people I'm racing around. So I think we're in for now, and we just we're probably like 8 or 9 up. And so yeah, I just we're close, man. It's exciting, and this is kind of what it's all about. It's really nice to run in there behind Vincent, and I knew I wasn't, he knew I wasn't going to run him dirty or anything and try to drive it in there and run him over. So all in all, it's a good finish. We'll take it. Definitely didn't have the speed to get to him, but not kicking myself at all.
Yeah, and I thought you finished 10th. I see you started 10th. I was looking at the wrong thing.
13th there in 2nd race.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you had some pretty bad damages. I think that was solid in that 2nd heat, and unfortunately, so And that's going to happen at some of these tracks at Bristol. But Kenneth, do you have anything for David?
What I'm carrying in from Kansas is that I was in the lead and would have had an opportunity to win the race there after that one wreck if I didn't get taken out. I was top 10 the whole race in that second race at Kansas. I know I can do this, and yeah, like I said, I'm kind of targeting a win there. I don't have any way to get into the All-Star race right now, so I'm trying to find a way in. Almost had it today, but it feels too good to hang out with you guys for once, and yeah, thanks for putting on the broadcast. You guys are absolutely astounding. I go back and watch every single one, and you guys put on an awesome show.
Yeah, hopefully I got your name right every time I mention it here this week, though.
I know, that's you called me Dennis, but yeah, we were fast last week too. The sixth place kind of felt like it was a stepping stone, and I can't even believe Bristol went so well, man. I felt so good tonight and got in a really good rhythm, so I'm happy with where we're at.
Yeah, that's hopefully next week you can lock yourself into the playoffs and hopefully get that win as well. But one thing, or I'll make this two parts here before we send you off. Being on that chase bubble, do you go in driving for that win to get yourself into that All-Star race, or do you kind of points race next week? And after you answer that question, any other shout outs that you want to give?
I have tonight. I knew we had to have a good run. So tonight I was really doing enough to get the good run. Second race, I felt after the good run, I felt a little more aggressive. I could get closer to people and kind of push it really hard. And I caught up to Blake there in one of the runs, and it feels good knowing I kind of had enough speed to get up with him. It looked like he was really fast there at the end of the race. But next week, next week I want to win, man. It's been too long. I gotta get one some point, and I feel like I can do it in this series. Really proud of this series too. Everybody ran really well. I'd like to shout Vic Bloom, ID Racing, Vincent Isabella, and Shandy Manitoba. They give me a truck in this one, and have given a truck to a bunch of people, and it's really been fun. We've been able to make this OSCA league a really fun league, and then you guys especially for doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you here again next week, and hopefully it's in Victory Lane after we get done with Las Vegas.
That's the target, man.
Sounds good. We'll see you next week, David.
Thank you, buddy.
You bet. I felt like I should have called him Dennis there, but I moved him into the wrong one. But there we go. And with that, we interviewed the top three of both heats, of heat number 1 and heat number 2. So that's going to about round out tonight's action. And it was a wild one. Those Toyotas of ID Racing taking both heat wins in Isabella and Blake Barney. And any final thoughts do you have, Kenneth?
Well, if I'm going to refer to anything that happened in this second race and what really came out to play, and I think what Blake Barney already mentioned as the pit strategy call that Big Kitty made for him, it's putting yourself in a position where you can go down pit road when a yellow comes out, but you also know you have enough time to go through the field, to get those positions, and use those fresh tires to your advantage. I think that's exactly what harmed Gerald Campbell in the first race, along with Gabriel Edwards, where it felt like they pitted a little bit too late in the race to the point where they didn't have enough time to claw through the field and get up to the front. But for Blake Barney, it was the complete opposite. Was able to go down pit road, lose a little bit of track position, but give himself enough time to get through this field. But now, all eyes are set on the gambling city of Las Vegas. It's our final race of the regular season. It's gone by fairly quick here, Michael, up in the booth this season so far, but we've got an ultimate battle for the playoffs that I think will sure to get hotter when we actually start the playoffs and run for a title.
Yeah, it has gone quick, and yeah, we're already in race number 10 already, going to the Sin City in Las Vegas next week, is before we head to the playoffs in Phoenix and Texas, and then again rounding out the championship at Kentucky. So it'll be interesting to see who's in, who's out after our battle next week at Vegas. And it'll be interesting to see here. But one final thought I gotta say is, as you see the Big Kitty on the hood of that double zero car, he's probably like the hottest crew chief I think since Cole Pern.
He might. I mean, we've got a lot of shout outs from ID Racing, so I mean, maybe their momentum could be as a result of what Big Kitty's doing up on the stand. I think he's been giving them the big calls, big shots. He's maybe the good luck charm for the team. And I mean, even when in the interviews, I mean, we interviewed a handful of ID Racing drivers, how dominant they've been all season, the amount of drivers that they've already had gather wins in this season. So I mean, they're going into the playoffs with the head of steam, and I think it further shows it that Big Kitty is taking them to the end here with the win here that Blake Barney and Vincent Isabella get tonight.
Yes, indeed, and I think the only thing ID Racing has to be concerned about is if you know, a real life NASCAR team. We've seen William Byron go from iRacing to the Cup Series, so hopefully Big Kitty can stay with Blake Barney and not see him on the as cool as it would be to see him on a pit box on Sundays. But right now, Big Kitty doing awesome work for Blake Barney and the rest of the ID Racing crew. But with that, for Vic Bloom and Dallas Myhand at the OSCA Truck Series, and for Charlie Baier at KBRN, and for Kenneth Bueno also joined me in the booth, I'm Mike Goodman. Thank you all for watching tonight's broadcast from Bristol Motor Speedway, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday night from virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway as we have the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation 120. And we'll till then, we'll see you next time. Have a good night.